Hello, I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and this is the Hot Tag. Monday Night Raw. By and large, a terrible TV show, and it has been a terrible TV show for quite some time. The question is, why? Well, everyone has their own answer to that question. Some people think that it's down to the wrestlers themselves, and they don't care about the product or kayfabe in general. Some people think that it's down to the creative team, and they don't have anything good to write ever. Some people think that it's down to Vince McMahon and how he's pushing certain superstars and leaving other superstars for dead. And some people, though it's a very little bit of people, think that Raw isn't bad and that it's a very good show, and they are stupid and need to leave. But if you were to ask me, I would say that it's a combination of two of those answers. The creative team and Vince McMahon. Mostly, it's the creative team. Now, I'm not saying it's always the creative team. Vince McMahon himself has said that the WWE product is stale, and by stale, I assume he means terrible, and he hasn't really done anything to fix it. He doesn't give the writers anything new to come up with. He doesn't let them come up with good storylines, and it's just the same people in the same matches and the same feuds over and over and over again. Now, to be fair, SmackDown is like this too, but not as bad. They at least have other guys coming up from the mid-card and fighting for world championships. Heck, remember last year, Jey Uso was doing nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then Roman Reigns came back and won the Universal Championship, and all of a sudden, Jey Uso was #1 contender. This year, Cesaro, coming off of a feud with Seth Rollins, challenged Roman Reigns for the Universal title at Backlash. Edge is finally getting a one-on-one match with Reigns. Daniel Bryan got a few matches with Roman, and Big E is circulating as a possible contender for the Universal title. On Raw, it's a slightly different story. Drew McIntyre has been in the WWE Championship scene for well over a year, and Bobby Lashley is just now being taken seriously as a main eventer, and he's given a great championship run, or possibly. We'll just have to see how it turns out. Kofi Kingston, sure, he's just now getting into the title scene, but never forget he was champion once before. We know what Kofi can do in the main event picture. It's not just the world title scene. The women's division on Raw is also dog terrible, and that can be boiled down, in my opinion, to Charlotte, because she's always getting opportunities when she doesn't need opportunities. She's the John Cena of the women's division. Charlotte wins, lol. But she hasn't held the title in a long time. Thank God for that. But this is her third straight Raw Women's Championship match on pay-per-view coming up at Money in the Bank. Because WWE released a ton of its women's division, and there's no one else on Raw. Asuka is just there. Alexa Bliss is doing something with Reginald. I don't know what she's up to. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are jokes in the women's tag division. And that's it. Rhea Ripley, to be fair, is great. Love her. She's awesome. But she really doesn't have anyone to face other than Charlotte. Now, the division could pick up once Becky comes back from her maternity leave. But before then, the women's division is as stale as a cracker that's been left on the table for 2 years and is covered in mold and cheese that's been spilled. On SmackDown, things are a little better. Bianca Belair is doing pretty well as SmackDown Women's Champion. Sasha Banks will be great when she comes back, if she ever comes back from another tantrum, I assume. And Liv Morgan and Carmella are having a pretty good feud about hot blondes being the hotter blonde. But at least Bianca is trying to find new challengers. Ripley is just facing Charlotte pay-per-view after pay-per-view after pay-per-view, and it's getting really old. Speaking of stale divisions, let's talk about the tag team division. Now, unlike the previous two divisions, where it's good on one brand, bad on another, the tag division is bad on both brands, because, essentially, there is no tag division. There are no actual tag teams. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle are fun together, but they were just thrown together. The Hurt Business, when it was a thing, was brilliant, but now they're broken up. Heavy Machinery is no longer a thing because Tucker is gone somewhere. I think he's released. I don't even know anymore. Otis is with Chad Gable, and it's really weird. The Street Profits and the New Day are the only two actual teams on the roster. I don't even know who the Raw Tag Team Champions are. That's how bad it is. NXT does it a lot better. Now, NXT's tag team division is well known for being supremely better to Raw and SmackDown's tag division because, well, it has actual tag teams. Or used to, and now it's a little bit tame. And then there's another fact which I've covered in a previous video. If you want to see it, click right here. And that fact is WWE not making new stars. Look at the main event scene for Monday Night Raw right now. Kofi Kingston, Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre. That's it. On SmackDown, sure, there's Roman, but there's also guys like Rey Mysterio in and out, Seth Rollins in and out, Cesaro in and out, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, both in and out. It's fluctuating, sure, but at least there's different people going into the main event scene on SmackDown. On Raw, it's 2 or 3 guys, never changing. Again, that's why NXT is better, because it's capable of making new stars that weren't there previously. For example, just last night, Isaiah Swerve Scott won the NXT North American Championship from Bronson Reed. Isaiah Swerve Scott had been in no man's land for a little bit, but then he formed Hit Row, which is great. I love their gimmick, and now it's proving to pay dividends because he's got a championship, and Scott is on top of the world, essentially. Well, look at Raw. Ricochet is spraying water guns into The Miz's face. The Miz is in a wheelchair screaming at someone that you're not that guy. Pal, trust me, you're not that guy. Matt Riddle is just an idiot, and Randy Orton's standing there looking furious at it. Bottom line, Raw is not making any new stars. And at the end of the day, that is what's killing it. That's the main reason that Raw is so bad. Not because of the crap storylines, not because of the terribly scripted promos, not because of the same thing over and over and over again, though that does kind of count. It's because there are no new stars that will change things up on the show. It's a system that WWE has went with for over 40 years. One guy on top and about 3 other guys beside him. That's it. Everyone else, screw them. We don't need them. That's not how a wrestling show is supposed to run. Sure, there's supposed to be one guy on top, but there's also supposed to be a bunch of other guys, not just 3 or 4, that could come in and try to beat him. And when they do beat him, then all these other guys who didn't beat him can get another chance. We don't need Drew McIntyre losing the WWE Championship and then immediately challenging for it again for about 5 straight pay-per-views. We don't need McIntyre and Lashley facing each other 3 pay-per-views in a row. We need Kofi Kingston to come in and switch things up a little bit. So yes, Raw is bad. Has been for some time. And if it doesn't get new stars to help change things up a little bit, I feel like the trend of being bad is only going to continue. I'm Jackson Haney from Insane Internet Wrestling, and that was the Hot Tag.